What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back. Well, I should be saying welcome back to myself because I have left you guys hanging for the longest now. It's been almost a year, and I'm never doing that again. I'm never doing that again. I just got to be real. I may look a little bit smaller, maybe. I don't know. I'm not editing this, by the way, either. I'm just going all the way through because I got a lot of new stuff that I want to work on with this channel and whatnot. First things first is I've kind of wanted to tweak the title a little bit. You're still your host, Weezus Talks. I'm still your host, but I think I want to call the title working title, and so that's why I don't want to edit anything yet because I just want to work on that right now and everything. But I had to come to you guys to just talk to you and catch up. I also want to thank you because in my time away, I only gained a few subscribers besides losing them, and man, it's such a blessing, and thank you for that because I was in a really low point, and I was trying to get myself out of it, and I am actively. I don't know. I want to get to the point where I look back at old videos. I'm like, oh, look at him, and he really progressed and whatnot. But yeah, I was 325 pounds. I've lost 70 pounds since then. I don't plan on starting a workout channel. But yeah, that's basically like just where I've been and what I've been working on and just myself and just going through a lot of spiritual things. But I'm back and I'm about to be back like I never left because you guys stay subscribed like I never left. So I just really appreciate that. I just wanted to get that out the way before we get in on this. But I am super excited today because today is the premiere day of one of my favorite directors' first streaming shows, and it is called Peacemaker, and it's starring John Cena. And if you have heard of either one of those people or either one of those things, then I got all the information for you. We're going to talk about it here today. So yeah, I just want to go in on that. And I just want to start off, I guess, if I just start from the beginning, really James Gunn has just always been an influence on my life as far as film goes and everything, because he's just like one of the most expressive directors I've ever have witnessed make a project, and he's doing it all in here. Like he's directing with his heart and less with his eyes, and if that makes any kind of sense, but. He's just such a smart guy, and when you go back, and not even just Guardians, I know Guardians some of the first stuff that people were introduced to James Gunn with, but he made this movie called Super and this movie called Slither back in the day when we were, I was like middle school or whatnot, and the way he flips genres on their head, it's just nobody else can do it like him. As far as like he truly takes something that you think something is like you think something's supposed to be this way, and then he takes it and he makes it a whole other thing. So. For me, I've always been excited. I've always been front and center when he's about to go to work. I'm always front and center because I've always respected his work to the max. Because and not only that, I am a true. I love properly used licensed music in movies and TV shows, and James Gunn, he is the jukebox licensed music god. Like nobody can jukebox music. Nobody can jukebox score their music like not musical. Nobody can jukebox score their movies like he can. Like nobody. And I don't think anybody's come close. Maybe besides like Edgar Wright, it's a couple other people, but most people overdo it. They put too much music in there, or they have music from the '60s, music from the '70s, and music from today. And for a lot of people, it throws the vibe off. You have to really know what you're doing, and really know what songs connect and what songs do you just like. You know what I mean? You gotta. And James Gunn always goes for songs that actually connect. You know what I mean? And they happen to be bangers because he just has like he's a music connoisseur, and I am as well. So that's why that's one of the first elements where I really just related to him with, because I've always been a fan of music. I've always been a connoisseur of the subject. I've always loved all different kinds of music. I'm never listening to one genre of music. So when I first was like, okay, when I first watched Guardians, and like I was hearing the music he was placing in there, like I think the experience was mostly me tearing up, and I think most definitely the same experience for Guardians 2. I have to be sparing watching Guardians 2 because like, geez, like it's just a good movie, but the music just it just kicks it. It just kicks it in that movie. It just makes it really one of the better MCU movies ever made, both of them. So when he got fired, and it was a lot of questions going on, like where he would land, and everybody knew that mostly James Gunn, with his style, besides the Marvel movies, he's tailor made for DC, like for something like dark and raunchy and wild. And when DC approached him, they pretty much told him that he could make anything he wanted besides Batman, I believe, or Superman, because they were having some contract negotiations with that. We'll talk about that later. But he ended up wanting to do another take on the Suicide Squad, which is like, it's like peanut butter and jelly, like James Gunn and the Suicide Squad. Because first of all, some of the Suicide Squad, to me, is really just more up his realm, because these are villains, and like you notice with his Guardians movies, these are outcasts, right? That you're turning into heroes. But in the Suicide Squad, these are the worst of the worst. These are vile murderers. Some are bigots, like just some of the worst kind of people you would never want to be around. You wouldn't want to share a table with them, nothing like that. And so he could kind of like take the reins off, and just kind of go in and just make the movie he wanted to make. And actually, my favorite quote from him himself during the Suicide Squad release and everything was when he's on Twitter, and somebody asked him, "Where's the director's cut of the Suicide Squad, like the Snyder cut or whatever?" Like everybody wanted the director's cut, and he famously said, "The Suicide Squad is my director's cut," and that should tell you everything you need to know about this guy. Like, he's putting it all out there, and so for me, I'm always gonna be front and center. But when I see like what is on his mind, what's on his heart, and I see how he expresses it, like it just makes you so excited about just being a cinephile. If you just like movies, he makes you excited about film. He makes you excited about movies, because he brings everything. He brings you the characters that you're going to love. He brings you the story that's going to captivate you, and he brings you the music that's going to have you off your feet. Like it's going to have you out of your seat every single time. He's one of the better. He just gets it. He gets it, and honestly, I also appreciate how he's always sending out encouraging messages, like on his Twitter, like to like young filmmakers and everything, like. And James Gunn, if you ever see this, like, you helped me out a lot when I was in a really, really low spot. Like, you really helped me out a lot, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate your words. I can't go in on it right now because you're so awesome. You say so many really good quotes, so I can't just say them all. But upon watching Suicide Squad, so was it my just favorite Kate movie ever? No. Is it one of my favorite DC EU or DC movies ever? Hell yeah. Like there's not anything really that's close to. Or I don't want to talk about Zack Snyder too much today, because I feel like people have his role very confused. And so, like, when we're talking about a back to form DCU, I'm talking about things like Wonder Woman. I'm talking about things like James Wan's Aquaman. I'm talking about things like James Gunn's Suicide Squad. Like, those are the things that, like, the Suicide Squad, not Suicide. That's David Ayers. That's not good. So, for DC, they're really jumbling. They're jumbling a lot of branding issues right now. Like, they don't know if they want to be this, if they want to be that, if they want two universes, if they want one universe. Like, they're just trying to figure it all out. And in a chaos-ridden kind of studio like that, at least currently, it's so good to have a director know what he wants and knows what he wants to do, and doesn't need a whole lot of pieces to do it. He doesn't need your Superman, because we know you're dealing with that craziness right now with Cavill. He doesn't need your Batman, because he knows that Matt Reeves and you guys have got a whole universe going on with Batman and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't need a Justice League movie. He said, come give me your raunchiest, wildest criminals, and I'm going to make them into one of your best movies you've ever had. And that's what he did. And upon seeing that, I could go in on the characters and all day long. Like, honestly, if I give you a quick top 5, my favorite characters had to be Polka Dot Man, Rick Flag, who I hated in the first one. I hated Rick Flag. Everything he did, that's what makes him so good. How do I go from somebody being my least favorite character in one movie, the same movie, not like like it's pretty much. I mean, he reboots it, but in not like in a wild kind of way. Most of these characters are like the best ones are returning. They're the same people. They're the same people. Besides that, maybe they probably didn't go on that one terrible mission that we all saw in theaters in 2016, but they have gone on missions together. So these are the same kind of characters, and like, man, Joel McKinnon as Rick Flag was my favorite character easily. So I gotta give him props for that. So Polka Dot Man, Rick Flag, King Shark. I also loved. I love what they did. I actually love what they did with the villains because they are just so menacing, and I mean the generals, not the big one. And then my last one has to be Peacemaker. So and he really honestly, it was so hard for him not to steal the scene or steal the show every time he was on screen. Every time he was on screen, he was doing something captivating. He was like, it was just funny. It was big. It was just beyond the screen. Like, he's popping. It's 3D with no 3D glasses when John Cena is in this role. And you could tell how much John Cena loved it because he was even doing things like, carrying around, the outfit with him on set and in interviews and whatnot. Like, you could tell not only was he excited for the opportunity, but John Cena had been working his way up in his career to get to that point. He had been doing smaller roles, and he had been doing roles that, suited him physically when he first started off. But as he started, getting his chops up, he actually had a little knack for being funny, and he started doing a little bit more funny roles and whatever. And I wouldn't say that he's typecast as a funny guy, but I'm just saying that he has more than one element to him. And for a guy coming out of wrestling who has to be, pretty much has to be one note the whole time, unless you're told not to be, for him to have more than one layer to him, it's going to make him, in my opinion, one of the best actors to come out the WWE since Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, I really think John Cena has a chance to be better, and that's no disrespect to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but I'm telling you, like, he really proved to me that, like, not only can he star in an action film, like, and literally, like, I mean, he wasn't carrying it because it's not his movie, but damn near carrying it, like, as far as like the comedy goes, like, as far as his action goes, like, he's the most active member at the very, like, he's active, you know what I mean? Like, when you really get to know about this guy. And James Gunn, he has a sense of humor, and he has a way of, like, expressing his opinion. And so you have this guy who is basically like red ass America personified as a human being. And when you get that, you're like, you think you're gonna go into it like it's a John Walker, like, oh, I just hate this guy. But he's such a freaking idiot that you really can't help but feel sorry for him. Like, you feel sorry for, like, who's this smut? Like, who feel all these false ideals in this guy so long ago to make him this super murderous, like, effed up human being who just doesn't really understand how the world is evolving and how it's changing. And I think he would like to be a part of that change, but he doesn't understand the things he has to do to truly grasp that. So you see him deal with a little bit of those problems. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you guys. You see him deal with a little bit of those problems as he goes through that movie, and you kind of see where he lands, pun intended. And it was an overall, I feel like it was the best choice for him to go first. I know a lot of people wanted Ratcatcher 2. I wanted a couple other people, but I don't want to talk about the movie too much. But I think overall that Peacemaker was the best choice for James Gunn to turn around and make a show about. You know what I mean? And